Hey everyone, so this chapter explains why there's been so many breaks recently, and also why Kid hasn't been in the story as much as I would have wanted him to be. And that's because of the incredible amount of time it takes to draw his magnetic devil fruit power when he's collecting pieces of metal to create limbs for himself. I mean, just the amount of detail in that arm is insane. I mean, I'm pretty sure that Oda must have gotten help from one of his assistants, at least. But still, that's very impressive. One Piece made the cover of Shonen Jump again, except I was wrong because I thought that on the other half of Luffy's face, we were going to get the other half of the Straw Hat crew. I thought we were going to get Usopp, Frankie, Chopper, and Brook. And instead, to promote Stampede, the release of the movie, we get Rob Lucci, Boa Hancock, Sabo, and Law. And it actually didn't dawn on me until I saw them in the cover, but those are very popular characters, so it makes sense why they would use them to promote the movie. In fact, I think Law, Sabo, and Hancock at one point were amongst the top 10 most popular One Piece characters according to a fan poll that was released. We continue the Capone cover story, and we see Chiffon as well as some of the fire tank pirates in the background, including Capone and Baby Pez and Vito. And Chiffon says that she wants to reunite with her sister, Lola. Last time we actually saw Lola, it was in a cover page for chapter 654, and she was at a bar back in Water 7. However, in another cover page, the cover page for chapter 838, we see Shanks along with some of his crew, and the headline or the description for that cover page says that they're at a wedding. And so one of the most popular theories about that scene or that cover page is that the person who's actually getting married is Lucky Roo. And the theory is that Lucky Roo actually ended up marrying Lola. So I think this could be a very cool story for Chiffon if, in fact, Lola now has some ties to the red hair pirates. I think that'd be great. Or if she's still in Water 7, then that would mean that Capone would have to travel across the red line back to Water 7. And so if he's heading back there, we might get some insight into the Reverie. Or another thing that we could also like speculate about is because of the marriage that fell through with Loki. Who knows? Like there might be some connection still between Lola, Loki, Chiffon, and this might lead to a connection to Elbaf as well. Either way, this is a win-win story-wise. Anyway, Kid starts doing his Magneto thing, and I think there's a little bit of a similarity between this scene of him leaving and Luffy being on the ground and Kid saying, like, you know, consider the fact that I let you live as me being generous. I think, I don't know, to me it kind of echoes a little bit of that Goku and Vegeta first fight where both of them are half dead and they're like, okay, we'll meet again. Except this time Luffy's like the only one who's kind of half dead. But you get what I'm saying. Like, they're like, okay, like, whatever. We're just going to go and do our things, and then maybe we'll meet up in the future. Now, there's a brief little panel of Apu, because Kid is talking about regretting forming an alliance to begin with. And so I think the fact that Oda actually drew Apu is a reminder for us readers. And it's a reminder because I think that he's going to reintroduce Apu into the story very soon. So it's kind of like, hey, you know, don't forget, Apu is in Wano. It makes sense why Kid doesn't trust anyone but Killer and his own crew. Because, I mean, if you think about it, Hawkins and Apu ended up bending the knee to Kaido, ended up working for him. It's been kind of rough for Kid. I think we know that he went to Whole Cake Island and he injured one of Big Mom's commanders, and then he had to leave, or he left, and then somebody in Shanks' crew took his arm, and then Kaido fell from the sky and then beat him to a pulp. So it's been kind of rough for Kid, but I like the fact that despite that, he doesn't lose that confidence and that strong will. He's like strutting out of there with Killer going like, screw you, Mugiwara. You're not the only one who has King's Haki. Again, it's very Vegeta-like. Screw you, Kakarot. Anyway, they leave, and then we get this yes but no meme from Raizo as him, Hyogoro, and Kawamatsu are trying to convince the Udon prisoners that Luffy is the real deal. Like I said before, Luffy is in the middle of dying, and Chopper is busy trying to come up with an antibody to save him, to cure him from the disease. And I think like that's just one of Queen's inventions, right? I think there has to be, like, he has to have more diseases that he could use in combat. Because I feel like what's going to happen is that maybe Chopper's going to give the antibody to the Alliance, and then they're going to get cocky. They're going to go up against Queen and be like, we figured you out, Queen. We have the antibody to your freaking weapon, to your disease. And he's going to be like, that was just one of my weapons. Take a load of these. Momonosuke has a moment in this chapter where like the prisoners begin bowing, at his presence, which I think that was a really, really well-drawn panel. The layout was really good. But the only reason that happened to begin with is because Luffy threw a boulder at Momonosuke and kind of forced him into the spotlight in that sense. And this is not like the first time where Luffy has kind of nudged or pushed Momonosuke to begin acting more like a leader. I remember back in Zou, Momonosuke was crying about Kaido killing Oden. I think the retainers were asking for Luffy's help. They were saying, could you please help us take down Kaido? And Luffy very calmly says, nope. I'm not going to help you until Momonosuke asks me himself. Because he wants him to get, acquainted with acting more like a leader. Because ultimately, like, Momonosuke is Oden's heir. So it's like, he needs to start, taking command of this. So I think that's what the scene is there for. To exemplify the fact that, again, once Luffy leaves Wano, Wano's going to need a leader. So, it's the preparation to that. Anyway, Kawamatsu, just like Kid, says, I'm out. He says, I'm needed elsewhere. And so, according to me, there's only two other places where Kawamatsu would be needed. Number one is with Hiyori / Komurasaki. Because if you remember, Kawamatsu took care of Hiyori, right? Or number two, it could be that Kawamatsu is actually the man that Tenguyama Hitetsu said that he was waiting for a very long time. So again, I think it's either him going back to Hiyori to see what's up with her, or going to Tenguyama Hitetsu. Because again, he's been there like waiting for someone as well. We go to Kuri with Shutenmaru, Inuarashi, and Kinemon to a graveyard, and we find out that some time ago there was a group of samurai, I guess, that decided to lead a charge to Onigashima Island to try and take down Kaido, and they all perished. And that scene is important for three reasons. Number one, it gives us more insight as to why Shutenmaru was so resistant to pledge his allegiance to the Alliance, right? Because it's like, look at what he saw. I mean, he saw his friends die, so all of a sudden these people want to come in here and say, like, join us, where it's like, no, like, stuff has happened, and, people have died, so it's kind of like, now you want to come in here and tell me what to do, but you weren't here, so it's kind of like that little, a bit of resentment and bitterness, but that gets resolved, and that's the second reason for this scene. That gets resolved by the end, because ultimately Shutenmaru just decides to join, and, he's a little bit more motivated now. And then thirdly, it explains the origin, or the sort of like gives us more depth into the word that at one point Zoro taught Momonosuke. If you remember, Momonosuke was training, and he was using the word snatch or snatch, right? And I think it was Kiku who told him, don't say that word. That word is taboo. Now we know why. It's because these people led a charge to Onigashima Island with that word. So it makes sense why Kaido's and Orochi's tyrannical regime would want to ban a word associated with a rebellion, right? Or people that at one point rebelled against them. Now, because Zoro taught Momonosuke this word, and it seems as if this word had been used in Wano for a while now, it could only make sense that, it makes sense that Zoro was taught this word by his master, Koshiro, once again confirming that Koshiro, Zoro's master, is in fact from Wano, and so he taught him that word, and that's, everything comes full circle. And then according to Shutenmaru / Ashura Doji, there's only 8 days left before the beginning of the Fire Festival, and then we transition over to Hakumai, which is a place that we've seen before in a flashback, and the weather there is just, it's a fall place, like just, just a bunch of leaves and stuff, and Zoro is just busy taking out some of the ninja from the Oniwabanshu. The most noticeable one being Fujin. And this connects to chapter 945, because at one point during the scuffle at the capital, one of the members of the Oniwabanshu sends both Raijin and Fujin to chase Hiyori. And in that chapter, Zoro kind of takes care of Raijin, but Fujin is left. So in this chapter, we see him take care of Fujin, because again, he kind of like, decided to go and protect Hiyori. So Zoro and Hiyori are at the Enma Shrine now, and I know that Enma is supposed to be the god of the underworld, but when I hear the name, the only thing I can think of is literally the third Hokage's monkey. It's funny because there's a line where Hiyori says that he's worried about Otoko, and Zoro says, don't worry, he's with my friends, he'll be okay. Physically at least. So physically he'll be fine, mentally he'll be super screwed up. And then Zoro is kind of hinting, kind of nudging Hiyori, like, you wanna go back to that snowy cottage that we left? You know, the one where you were pretty much all over me. No, but seriously though, the scene sets up two things. It sets up Zoro going back to that snowy bridge to fight the guardian there, I think his name is Gukimaru, to reclaim Shusui for himself and sort of show that he is worthy of wielding it. And then secondly, because Hiyori mentions that she wants to be the one to kill Orochi, this could be a window, an opportunity for her to talk more about her past to Zoro, and for us to get more insight about Kiyoshido. Also, Zoro and Kiyoshido had like a mini clash back in the capital, so Zoro now has a mental image of who Kiyoshido is, and he'll be able to connect that if she starts talking about him. And I have to say this, that scene of both of them in this setting, right? The shrine in the middle of the forest is very cozy, very soothing. And with all this romantic atmosphere, disasters in the air. We go back to the capital where Law has been captured by Hawkins, and yet he still manages to look like a boss. Last time we saw Law, he was going up against Hawkins, and Hawkins was in charge of guarding Law's crewmates while they were in prison. And Hawkins actually tells Law that he has 4 lives now. He has Beppo, Shachi, and Penguin's lives inside of him. So that if Law tries to hurt him, he'll have to essentially kill his crewmates first. That's why he wouldn't be able to damage him. I'm still a little bit confused as to why Law didn't use shambles on Hawkins and switch Hawkins into somebody else's body so that Hawkins wouldn't be able to use his devil fruit power. But I guess Law getting captured serves the plot in this case, for whatever reason. Because there's been instances where Law or Oda has not allowed Law to use that ability for plot purposes. Namely, like when they were up against Doflamingo. Then again, Hawkins says that Drake has been acting strange lately, and so the fact that Law is so confident kind of gets you thinking, what if Law actually switched Drake with somebody else, and Drake isn't Drake anymore? Then of course that would open up the question of, if that's not Drake, then who is he? And where is Drake? Who did Law switch if in fact he pulled this off? I think it has to be a Straw Hat. I think it'd be hilarious if it were Sanji. The only problem I see with that though is that Sanji is pretty strong, and so if I were Law, from a strategic standpoint, I would switch Drake into somebody with a weaker body so that you would be able to restrain him or something. So I want it to be Sanji for comedic reasons, but I don't think it is. But let me know, what do you think? If in fact he switched Drake with somebody else, who do you think is in Drake's body right now? By the way, last time we saw Drake, he was in his Allosaurus form, and he was fighting Sanji, but then Sanji kind of left the fight to go and try and save Hiyori, but then Sanji saw Zoro save Hiyori. That's as much as we saw. I mean, that's the last we saw of them. Also, it could be that Drake is having perhaps like an emotional reaction to Law, because if you remember the night that Corazon died, Drake was in that island that Doflamingo was in with Law. So I don't know if they have more backstory or a history together, something else that we don't know. Either way, it's a good little bit of information to put at the end of the chapter. I thought the chapter was good. Let me know your thoughts about it down below. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. I'll catch you guys later. Take care. Bye.